Privatization, which means just given the priority to private sector participation in many areas. So many industries got liberalized by the government control, which helps to establish new industries, and it is open with the private sector participations. After 1991, private sector participations also taking a significant fact to maintain the economic system, integrations of national economy with the world economy. This is called the process of globalizations. Namaste my dear students, Shubha Hebba here, Faculty of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, a warm welcome to this session. Yes, in this session, we are going to discuss about the further part of post-1991 strategies. Yes, which belongs to third unit of pre-reforms Indian economy. My dear students, in the last session, we have discussed about reforms period. We have adopted the new economic policy in 1991, July 1st. Yes, also we have discussed about what are the different reforms area. In this session, we are going to discuss about LPG model, liberalization, privatization and globalization. What do you mean by liberalization, privatization and globalization? And also we are going to discuss about different process of liberalization, advantages and disadvantages of globalization, impacts of liberalization and privatization. So these are all very important contents we are going to discuss. What are the contents? LPG model and liberalization, meaning of liberalization and different liberalized area, and also we are going to discuss about impact, positive impact and also as well as negative impact. Next one, privatization. Yes, what do you mean by privatization and process of privatization also we are going to discuss. And next one, different ways that process of privatization and impact, positive impact and negative impact of privatization and globalization, meaning of globalization and what are the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. So these are all content we are going to discuss in this session. Yes, what is LPG model? Already, we have adopted the new economic policy in 1991 July 1st with the different features, and it is characterized by stabilization programs and also structural adjustment programs. Yes, we have discussed about these are all very significant topic, and in this session, yes, the separate content about LPG model, liberalization, privatization and globalization. Yes, what is the objectives of adoptions of new economic policy? It majorly focusing on adoptions of liberalizations, liberalize the economic system, privatization, giving the priority to private sector participation in many areas, and globalization. Yes, we are opening the economy with the world stage. So this is considered as LPG. It is not a liquid petrol gas. LPG in the sense liberalization, privatization and globalization in this content. Okay, what is the main objectives of adoptions of LPG? It was to make the economy of India the fastest developing economy in the global with capabilities that help it match up with the biggest economies of the world through that adoptions of liberalization, privatization and globalizations. And we have agreed certain conditions with the IMF and World Bank already, as we discussed about that. What are the highlights of LPG model? So these are all different areas considered as the highlighting points. That first one, that foreign technology agreements. Yes, it helps to technological upgradation, and then foreign investment. Yes, attractions of FDI, foreign direct investment, and the cancellations of MRTP Act, Monopoly Restrictive Trade and Practice Act, just it has cancelled, and also just industrial licensing. There is very necessary to take the government permission to establish new industries to the private sectors. It is called licensing. Yes, so cancellations of licensing and then deregulations. So many industries deregulated by the public sectors, and it is open to private sector participation. And next, beginning of privatization. Yes, we have adopted the privatization. Privatization, which means just given the priority to private sector participation in many areas. Okay, and next one, opportunities for overseas trade. Important highlights of LPG model, because just removing the quantitative restrictions and reductions in tariff rate, which helps to create more opportunities to overseas trade. And next one, step to regulate the inflation with the tax reforms. Already we have discussed about tax reforms. Yes, the tax reforms, which means introducing the tax system which helps to collect the revenue to the government. It is one of the compulsory contribution by the public to the government, and also it helps to accumulate the revenues to the government. That revenue is important for expenditure on public services to the government. And also, yes, step to regulate the inflation. There are several measures to control the inflation pressures. So these are all the different highlight points of LPG model. Next, to discuss about liberalization. LPG in the sense the liberalization, privatization and globalizations. What is liberalization? Liberalization, which means given the freedom to economic agents to take their own decisions and to reduce the role of the government. So this is one of the important significant fact in this content. To reduce the role of the government and given the priority to economic agents. What are the different objectives of liberalization? It promotes to participations of private enterprises and more accumulations of capitals and just establishing of industries, new industries, business and trade. And also it removal of government control and licensing. Removal of government control in the sense just try to reduce the government role in many areas. We have discussed, so the deregulations of industrial policy. Yes? Through deregulations of industrial policy, so many industries got liberalized by the government control, which helps to establish new industries, and it is open with the private sector participations. So this is considered as a removal of government control and cancellations of licensing. And the next one, removal of restrictions on the movement of goods and services. Removal of restrictions on the movement of goods and services by cancellations of quotas and barriers. And yes, of course, it is through foreign exchange reforms and trade reforms. Trade reforms and foreign exchange reforms. Next one, simplifications of procedure for imports and exports. Yes, it is through that reforms in foreign exchange system. Foreign exchange system. That liberalization, which including many areas. First one, deregulations of industrial policy. Second one, fiscal sector reforms, which, so this is also one of the important objectives, reforms in the fiscal sectors by adopting the different measures taken by the government, and financial sector reforms, yes, to reduce the role of RBI to controlling the interest rate for that different commercial banks and other financial institutions. Yes, that every banks can take their own decisions to determine the interest rate, and determinations of SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, and CRR, cash reserve ratio, bank rates, open market operations. So these are all the different measures taken by RBI, and now the role of RBI has been reduced. Okay, so these are all the different objectives of liberalization. Just have remember about what are the different areas of liberalization. First one, industrial area by deregulations of industrial sector, and then second one, trade sector reforms, financial sector reforms, and fiscal sector reforms, reforms in foreign exchange system. So these are all the different many areas of liberalizations. Already we have discussed in the past session. Next, going to that, what are the impact of liberalizations? Yes, of course, we have adopted the liberalization. We have given the economic freedom to that economic agents, and they can participate. So many industries got liberalized, except a few industries, just explosives and heavy chemical items and defense equipments. So these are all 6 industries just reserved for only that government and public sector undertakings, and except 6 industries, all other industries got liberalized by deregulations of industrial sectors. So this is the process of liberalization. And as what is the impact of liberalization? We can say in a positive way and also as well as negative ways. Yes, first one, look at about the positive impact of liberalizations. Yes, free flow of capitals. It is not possible to manage by that any government or any public sector undertakings by lack of financial resources. Yes, it is helps to manage with the private sector participation or that any economic agents. It is helped by free flow of capitals. If it is responsibilities goes to that someone shoulder specifically, definitely they will take the responsibilities for their profit intention. That is why that free flow of capital is one of the positive impacts. That flow of capitals. There are so many industries who are suffering from lack of resources, financial resources. Yes, of course, it helps to again restart and it can create the job opportunities. And next one, stock market performance. By reforms in capital market system which can improve the stock market system of the country, and stock market which can give the platform to corporate securities can be traded in real time. Okay, so this is the stock market performance. And the next one, political risk reduced. Yes, most of the risk and most of the responsibilities rendered by private people or other economic agents. So it can help to reduce the risk in a political system. And next one, diversification for investors. There are so many areas to invest can be created, not only about industrial sector, not only about any service sectors. So just it is open the economy in the sense investors can invest in a many areas. And next one, impact on agriculture. Yes, impact on agriculture in the sense liberalization will not much more impact positively on agriculture field. Agriculture field quietly neglected by liberalization policies. And next one, destabilizations of the economy. Given the freedom to economic agents, it can be created just flow of capital in a one way towards economic agents only who are actively participate, who are ready to invest more, they can get more, and who are not able to invest, they can't earn more. So this was the conditions which can create the destabilization in the economic system. And the next one, the technological impact. Of course, the technological impact in the sense we have that highlights, important highlights of LPG model is technological, foreign technological upgradations. Technological impact in the sense we may have the technology but we don't know how to run that technology. So that lack of skills, how to lead the technologies. So this is also considered as a negative impact by liberalizations. And next one, that impact of FDI in banking sectors. Yes, attractions of foreign direct investment. Foreign investment allowed in banking and different insurance sectors which can create the problems in the sense which can create the positions of reduced in government stake in banking sectors. So that private people can get the authority or can get the monopoly system. So this was in the sense first for positive impact, and next for it will be negative impact. Negative impact on economic system of our country. Yes, next go to that. We have discussed liberalizations, meaning of liberalization, objectives of liberalization, important areas of liberalization, and also just impact of liberalization. Next going to that, another one, privatizations. L means liberalization, P privatization. Privatization which means transfer of ownership of public enterprises to the private peoples. So here given the priority to private sector participation in economic system. Yes, and also it involves the sale of equity of the public sector undertakings to private sectors. Transfer of ownership, or you can consider that selling the part of equity shares of public sector undertakings. So these are all the process called privatizations. Given the priority to private sector participation in economic system. That is called privatizations. Yes, we have adopted mixed economic system since independence, in the sense participations of government sector also as well as private sectors. Though we have adopted the mixed economic system, government play a major role in all the areas. But after 1991, private sector participations also taking a significant fact to maintain the economic system, due to so many problems of public sector undertakings. Public sector undertakings which were suffering from a lot of drawbacks, delay in licensing policy and just delay in decision making and licensing policy, and also suffering from lack of resources and lack of infrastructure development. So these are all which led to that economic system in a financial crisis positions. That is why privatization take a major role in managing the economic system of our country. And we have adopted the privatizations, we have given the priority to economic agents, and also as well as the government transfer the ownership to private peoples through disinvestment or through direct sale. Yes, what are the different process or different methods or different ways of privatizations? Yes, transfer of ownership. This is a direct transfer of ownership to the private peoples. Okay. Direct transfer of ownership to the private people. And disinvestment. What is disinvestment? Disinvestment in the sense public sector undertakings selling its equity shares to the private people. Okay, public sector undertakings selling its equity shares to the private. Public sector undertakings shares its equity shares of public sector undertakings to the private sectors. It is called disinvestment. Okay, investment and disinvestment. And yes, so what are the different 6 methods of privatizations? Yes, first one, that sale of share of public sector undertakings to the private people, and next public auctions, which is considered as a government property which have been sold under the laws. Okay, so this is considered as a public auctions. And then public tenders, calling the tenders, and who will bid highest, they can purchase the project. And next one, direct negotiations. If the government knows anybody, and they can hand over the responsibilities and ownership to the private people. And next one, transfer of control of state or municipally controlled enterprises. Directly transferred of, which are controlled by or responsibility taken by or owned by any state government or any municipal government. So directly transferred to the private peoples. And the last one, just go with the lease with that right to purchase. So it provides the lease to write the lease or with the purchasing rights. So these are all the different methods of privatization. Next, move on to that what are the impacts of privatizations. Yes, here also that positive impact and negative impacts. First one, improve the efficiency, can create the job opportunities by establishment of new industries, by adoptions of new technology. Because of that management of private people, purely it is profit oriented. For gaining the profit, they have to take responsibilities towards work hard and more output. So that is why invest more, and they can hire so many employers with a good salary, so which can help to that efficiency. They can facilitate the high quality of training, which can improve their efficiency. And the next one, lack of political interference. Lack of political interference in the sense, if it is owned by the government could influenced by political parties or any other different persons which could influence the government system, and they could not work with the profit motives of the organizations. Yes, that private people, it can be purely work oriented and profit motives, and of course that running of that business or running of that industry which can carried by private peoples only, the government interference will not be appeared. And the next one, that short-term view. Yes, under the short-term view in the sense, yes, as soon as you can get the result what they have performed of private peoples. Okay, and the next one, shareholders. That any private entity, just they have taken the pressure from all the shareholders to work efficiently, which can create more output level. And the next one, increase the competitions. If there is a healthy competitions among the different organizations, different industries, yes, which is helps to efficient utilizations of resources, and also it helps to developing the system. And the next one, that nature of monopoly. Nature of monopoly in the sense it's particularly belongs to that negative impact on that economic system. That monopoly in the sense private people take a monopoly positions. Nobody cannot ask that person, and the government lose their rights to ask by transferring the ownership to the private people, and it can lead to that monopoly system. And only it will be a profit motive and negligence of social welfare of the people. And next one, public interest. Already as I told that privatization which particularly working towards profit motive and the loss of public interest. It cannot take any responsibilities, cannot take any view towards public interest. And next one, government losses out on that potential dividends. Of course, transferring of ownership to the private people, government losses its revenues, government losses its dividends. And next one, problems of regulating private monopolies. If once the government transfer the ownership, government can't control the private people. That's the main reason that private people will become a monopolist in the economic system. So these are all the negative impacts. Yes, that first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and fifth one, this is belongs to that positive impact. And 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, so this belongs to negative impact of privatization on the economic system. And of course, next one, last fact of this model, that is globalizations. What do you mean by globalizations? In our country, we can take their services from America, we can give the services to Britain. So just we can sharing the services, we can sharing the goods. How it is possible? Yes, of course, it is through globalizations. Process of globalization which consider world as a whole. World will be a single for that globalizations. The global in the sense it will be our economy. Yes, we are merging the economy with the world stage, world market. That is considered as a globalizations. Yes, that integrations of national economy with the world economy. This is called the process of globalizations. Also, it implies a free flow of information, ideas. Also, already as I told that we can exchange the services. Yes, the technology, we can exchange the technological ideas, and then goods and services, capitals, and even people across the different countries and different societies. So this is considered as process of globalizations. Let us discuss about what are the advantages of globalization. We have adopted the globalization from 1991. So what are the advantages of globalization? Why we have adopted? After adoptions of globalization, what are the different changes has taken? It increased employment opportunities. So many companies, there's outsourcing, establishment of MNC companies which can create more employment opportunities through the globalizations. And also just high standard of livings. Yes, by increasing the employment opportunities, by opening up the different multinational companies and creations of outsourcing of job opportunities, that BPOs, business process outsourcing. So these are all the different process which can create the employment opportunities. Then purchasing power of people will get increases. Purchasing power of people will get increases automatically, which leads to increasing in the or improvement in the standard of living of the people. And also we can notify here that extensions of market. Of course, we can purchase Australian apple here only. Then we can sell our products in Australia, in different countries of all over the world. That is why that it is considered as extensions of market. Before adoptions of globalization, one who person has the license to participate in international trade, yes, only those person could participate in that particular process. But in the present positions, anybody can sell their products in different countries through foreign trade. It tells about extensions of markets. And the next one, development of infrastructures. Establishment of multinational companies and establishment of new industries which can create the development of infrastructures. And yes, which requires better road and transport, better communication system and water supply facility, so that health system. So these are all which can create that good infrastructure development. And the next one, development of healthy competitions. Healthy competition in the sense, yes, that competition among the domestic and foreign. And this could lead to healthy competitions and can create the good and qualitative output level. So not only this much advantages, so we can make so many advantages of globalization. By adoptions of globalization, we have recognition in the world stage. So this is one of the important advantages of globalizations. Yes, what are the different disadvantages of globalizations? Inequality and inflation, threats to the global commons, trade imbalance and unemployment. Yes, inequality. Inequality in the sense, again, that matter of foreign and domestic. Yes, it is not possible to maintain the equivalence between foreign products and domestic products. Inflation, general price level increases. Price of all other different types of goods and services, very essential goods, will be increases. It is through competitions of goods which can create the inflationary pressures. And the next one, threats to global commons. Irreversible ecological damages. Yes, what are the different damages? Then land degradation, deforestation, loss of biodiversity, then soil erosions. So these are all the problems which can create the threat by establishment of new industries, starting up of different MNC companies. So these are all which leads to disadvantages by globalizations. And the next one, trade imbalance. Trade imbalance in the sense, all other domestic products will get neglected by attractions of foreign products. And next one, unemployment. Who has skilled, and only those person can get the job opportunities. But our country, which are occupied by a lot of unskilled laborers. Unskilled laborers can't get the work. And what about that employment opportunities for those types of people? So those category will be unemployers. So this was the different disadvantages of globalizations. Dear students, we have discussed about LPG model, and after adoptions of LPG, what is the positive impact and what is the negative impact, advantages or also disadvantages. These are all the topic we have discussed today. I hope you have understand the concept and you can answer for those are all the questions which belongs to these chapters. I am coming to the conclusions of these chapters and also as well as sessions. My dear students, I hope you have understand. Keep watching, read well. Thank you once again.